Hey everyone, welcome to the Healthy Brain Podcast. Thanks for joining me today. It has been a long time since I have broadcasted and released an episode in the Healthy Brain Podcast. And through the next few weeks, I'll share where the journey and what I've been encountering. And really what it comes down to is I've been resistant in coming up with a new podcast. And it's not so much, maybe a bit of creativity, because I felt like a lot of my creativity that I had already shared, a lot of what I wanted to share in the Healthy Brain podcast. And through this creativity, though, I'm also broadcasting this podcast episode through YouTube, through my YouTube channel. So that was somewhat of a resistance in that, just because of the technology and piecing together certain things. But my approach with anything to do with the brain is that we need to, in order to grow, we need to feel uncomfortable. And sometimes that discomfort keeps us from taking the first step. But what I found is if I can take small steps, and I encourage my clients and patients to do the same, because if you find you're stuck not taking action, it's possibly that the action is too big of an action. So I would recommend break it down to something smaller, break it down to something that you're able to um, possibly do in less than 20 or 30 minutes. And that has really served me well when I've taken that approach. So today, what I wanted to talk about today, which I'm excited to talk about because this is near and dear to my heart, is meditation. It's one of my missions and possibly goals in life is to encourage everyone to create a meditation practice for themselves. And I really believe that most people who are in this in at the point that they know the benefits, and what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk a bit about the benefits, what meditation really is, but the topic here is how to pick the right meditation practice for you. I believe a lot of us, and myself included, when I first started, I thought it was this was many, many years ago. I always thought that meditation had to be done a certain way. And what I found is that it actually, there's so many different types of meditation. And to approach meditation with curiosity is very crucial, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable. So let's get started with what really is meditation. So I'm going to talk about what meditation is. Why do we want to meditate? What are the benefits of meditation for the brain and the body, but specifically for the brain, and the different types of meditation? The definition in the Merriam-Webster definition. I thought I'd go to the GO, the OG, the GO, the OG is the definition of meditation is to engage in contemplation or reflection, or to engage in mental exercise, such as concentration on one's breath or repetition of a mantra, or for the purpose of reaching a heightened level of spiritual awareness. Now, which one, when I read through those, which one resonates with you? Meaning, do you, when you hear contemplation, reflection, or you hear mental exercise, or you hear reaching spiritual awareness, heightened level of spiritual awareness, which one resonates with you? Which one really makes you go, this is interesting. This is what I'd like to do meditation for. I would add also the concentration, engaging in mental exercise that my clients, my patients who have TBI, concussion, post-concussion, mild cognitive impairment, just changes in their cognition. I always, if they're able to, recommend meditation for the pure and simple practice of concentration, of bringing their attention back to the present moment. And the reason being for that, why meditation is so helpful, is it really is it's a practice of attention. And if we can't pay attention to something, we can't remember things. And my clients and patients who I see people for health and life coaching, but I also am a speech pathologist. So I work in cognitive rehabilitation. I have a private practice in that. And every day I work with people on memory strategies. And the next episode, I'm going to actually be releasing different memory strategies. Every day I work with people on how can they remember better. And what we know is by working on attention, and the cool thing is mindfulness has been shown to improve working memory, and mindfulness is a form of meditation. And mindfulness is really concentrating on one particular aspect, either breathing, repetition of a mantra, whatever it would be, that would create the attention, the mindfulness, and possibly improve memory. So back to the definition. If you look at the different definitions, which one resonates with you? But even if one doesn't really stand out, just know that meditation can mean different things for different people. My approach to meditation is, one, improving brain awareness and mindfulness. And it's also for me a point of helping me to calm down and to really focus on tuning into my internal sensations. I look at it like a time of contemplation and reflection. But what I find is, so just in this, what I find in this definition is that it can turn people off, though. So if the spiritual awareness is turning you off, then just put that to the side and focus on, okay, I know that meditation has been recommended for my stress reduction, for calming, for maybe it's a trend. Maybe you've seen TikTok, many people now are meditating. Maybe your doctor or your therapist is suggesting that you meditate. So the spiritual awareness part, you can just put that to the side. And most clinicians, therapists, physicians are recommending meditation because it will help you to manage your stress. It has been proven to help manage pain, stress management, calming, attention. It just improves your mood. There's a variety of reasons why you would want to meditate. But I do want to tap into a little bit of some of the brain science. So there's this cool thing that happens. Our brain has brain waves. You've possibly heard of this. Normal brain waves, they're beta waves, and beta waves are around 12 cycles per second. So when we're talking, when you're listening, when you're thinking, actively thinking, not contemplating, but actively thinking, doing your job, talking to different people, problem solving, you're in a beta wave, brain wave length. So 12 cycles per second. Imagine a hill and a valley, a hill and a valley. So it's quite quick, the brain waves during beta waves. What we know is when they've tested and attached people to monitors, EEGs, where they put these little sticky things on the skull, it doesn't create any electrical voltage in, it's picking up the electrical voltage, it's picking up the brain wave. What's cool is in early meditative states, so just when you're starting to get into the contemplation and reflection, our brain waves change from beta to alpha. They go from 12 cycles per second to around 8 to 12 cycles per second. So the valley and the peak is not as high. It's not as it's just a little slower. Then experienced meditative states change from alpha to theta. So their theta waves are around 4 to 8 cycles per second. So again, that hill and valley is getting even a little shorter. Deep subconscious meditative state, that's when we've heard of monks, Tibetan monks in the caves. They don't even need to be in the caves, but they've shown that in their deep subconscious meditative state, which is challenging for new meditators to achieve and do. And how would you really even know that you achieve that? Achieve maybe isn't the right word. Or when you reach a deep subconscious meditative state, you're in a beta wave length. And that's 4 cycles per second. So that's really low. It's a very low hill and a very shallow valley. Now, we can see these changes in brain waves happen when we're sleeping. That's the cool thing. To me, this is really interesting because it means, and we've shown in research really that by meditating for 10 minutes, that you can have a restorative break that's very similar to a 2 to 4 hour sleep. When you can dip into this lower brainwave state, because when we're in sleep, REM and deep sleep, that's what happens to our brain. It actually lowers the brain wavelength, lowers to that theta and beta brainwave state, alpha, theta, beta. So just even knowing that, what I recommend to my clients and my patients, I call it brain breaks. I recommend for them to take a break during the day when you're feeling like, oh, I got so many things to do. But even before you get to that, I've made it a practice for myself in the last year to meditate in the afternoon. I just close my door, shut down things, 10 minutes meditation. It recalibrates, I find it recalibrates my brainwave length. But what happens is it recalibrates, it just creates a sense of calm. Because if you just look at the brainwave analogy to sleeping, you're getting this, not just this sleep, but this reset with your brain waves. You're actually getting into a slower brain wave length. And what that does for the brain is it helps to calm it down. And that is one reason why I do recommend little brain breaks throughout the day. It doesn't even have to be 10 minutes, 5 minutes can be so helpful. The meditation, and we'll talk about it later in a little bit, just about the different types of meditation. I do a different meditation in the morning than I do in the afternoon. So that's the cool thing about meditation, is that you can really choose whatever you'd like to do, be curious, and just the main thing is to just start. Okay, so why do you want to meditate? I mentioned briefly it could be stress reduction, it could be spiritual awareness, it could be that you need more calm in your life. You want to boost your mood. Maybe you want to it's part of your health and self-care. Maybe your doctor, clinic, or your clinician or the therapist is recommending. The other reasons, or those reasons, you could have other reasons that will help you to choose the meditation. We know that meditation restores the balance between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. I have a couple of episodes talking about the superpower our stress response, talking about the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Basically, the sympathetic is where we're in a heightened state. Our nervous system is in a heightened state. Our heart rate increases, blood pressure increases, respiration rate increases. We're sort of on alert. And the parasympathetic nervous system is when we're more in some scientists call it rest and digest, but it's where our heart rate lowers, our blood pressure lowers, respiration rate lowers. We're feeling calmer. So it's like an inverse relationship. And what we know is when we have chronic stress, the sympathetic nervous system is on high alert and the parasympathetic system is not being activated. Now, we want both of them to be activated at different times of the day, but what happens in people with chronic stress is they're always on alert. And the idea of meditation and breath work is it activates the parasympathetic nervous system so it can override. One of my the first episodes that I did release, it was where my journey from using this idea of the parasympathetic nervous system in order to calm myself and create wellness. And I would recommend for you to check that one out. It's one of the first few episodes in the Healthy Brain podcast. We also know that there's many studies reporting improvement with meditation in pain control, insomnia, depression, mood. So many benefits. Now, in the brain, what are the benefits? Briefly, what are the benefits in the brain? An increase in gray matter concentration or thicker. Just think the brain gets thicker in the prefrontal cortex, which is in the front of the brain. And the cool thing about that, that's the CEO of the brain. I do have an episode on that, the CEO of the brain. It's the prefrontal cortex for organizing, planning, task initiation, task completion, working memory, attention. Every day I work with people, clients, patients on activating their prefrontal cortex, and meditation increases the thickness of the prefrontal cortex, and that in turn will increase the activity, because the thicker it is, the more neurons and connections that we have available. Meditation also results in, now consistent meditation, I want to put that caveat. It's not just one time a week. Consistent meditation has been shown to increase the activity in the left hippocampus, but the hippocampus is very important. It's an area for new learning and memory. And that area has been affected by patients with diagnosed with Alzheimer's. That's where we see alongside in the basal ganglia, the plaque, the amyloid plaque production. We want to increase the activity in the hippocampus. Don't wait until you have signs of dementia. Start working on your meditation for these brain benefits. Other brain benefits, decreased activity in the amygdala. The amygdala, that's where our brain responds in fear. It's part of the limbic, the primitive brain. And the amygdala, when it's highly active, so when we're in a fear response, we're looking around, we're going, okay, what's going on? We're in that heightened stress response. Our prefrontal cortex cannot activate. It's a inverse relationship. So amygdala high, prefrontal cortex is low. When the amygdala activity is low, which happens with meditation, the prefrontal cortex is highly activated. Okay, so that's what we want to get into. Think of meditation, all the benefits to the brain. There's also an increased activity in the temporal parietal junction. There's increased activity in the ACC, which is the anterior cingulate cortex, which is for decision making. Okay, so I hope I've given you lots of reasons to meditate. Now, how to pick the right meditation for you. So I want to just briefly go through a list of different meditations. There's meditation for breath focused. So you focus on an inhale for 5 counts, exhale for 5 counts, or for 8 counts. People have talked about box breathing. There's triangular breathing. There's Brahmari breath. There's Bhastriki breath. There's Nadi Shodhana breath. These are the yoga breaths, but these are all based on breath focused. That is a meditation. So I do recommend with patients who have difficulty in concentrating just on a beautiful sound, maybe nature sounds or someone's voice, if they have a hard time in concentrating, I have them start with breath focused meditation. That can be really, really helpful. I have on my YouTube channel a couple of breath focused meditations or breath focused activities. So then you can use it in a meditation. I would recommend, you can go a time, you could go 3 to 5 minutes, or you could do rounds of breath. I find it really helpful to do this breath focused after I practice yoga. I like to sit and do some different breath focused meditation, or I'll do it in intermixed with yoga. Okay, some other types of meditation could be mantra based, where you repeat a word silently. It could be any word, it could be love. Some people will picture inhale love, exhale forgiveness, or just one word. So mantra based can possibly be your thing if you have a particular word that resonates with you. Another type of meditation is guided imagery, and that's where you're listening to someone guide you through the meditation of possibly they're envisioning or giving you the visualization of in a garden, or you're walking towards a pool of water. That can be really helpful for beginning meditators to have a guided imagery meditation. I would say that as you're advancing and meaning you're meditating more often, you might find that the guided imagery or the guided meditation may be a little bit more of a hindrance. I personally find that I love all the apps, and I'll talk about some of the meditation where you can find some of the meditations afterwards. But what I find is sometimes the instructors are talking too much. I just want them to just let us be silent. Just be silent so the brain can just stop listening. I think the point that the instructors want so deeply to help the listeners to meditate that they're talking too much. We need to have some silence. So I think that if you find that some guided imagery and guided meditation, you may find some will be more useful to you than others. And it's okay to say, this one is not for me. I'm going to switch to something else. Okay, now let's move on. How about body scan meditation? That can be really helpful. And another one is progressive muscle relaxation. So body scan is where you're guided, or you yourself go from your tips of your toes to the top of your head, just to see how you're feeling. The contraction with progressive muscle relaxing is you're contracting the muscles and releasing and moving up the body. Another meditation is the Kriyas. They're specific. I would encourage you to look into them. They're a very specific type of meditation with different passage, kirtan, kira. Look into it because you may find it very illuminating and very helpful for you. Excuse me. Let me take a little sip of water here. The Kriya, though, is a very specialized type of meditation, and you do need guidance from it. And I personally have not done enough of it to guide anyone in it. So I would recommend go to your favorite YouTube search and search it up. And you may also find that there's someone already who you know who could guide you through that. Some yoga centers will and classes will guide you through it. There's also loving kindness meditation. This is also it's scripted, meaning there's a certain sequence where you're taking your loving kindness from yourself, extending it to others, to people you may find you have conflict with, and then to the world. That is a fantastic loving kindness can be so healing, and it sounds a little quirky initially, but it really is a transformative practice. And the last type of meditation, now there's other types, but these are the top ones that I've been explaining. The other is mindfulness based. So meditation, when you have a mindfulness based meditation, the focus is on the present moment with anything you're doing. You could do a walking meditation for mindfulness, walking mindfulness. I would recommend to just dabble in mindfulness in general because it does help tremendously in staying present, thinking before reacting. So with those different types of meditation, you have, how do you pick the right meditation practice for yourself? Well, we've covered what meditation is. We've covered why do you want to meditate. I've covered benefits of meditation. So when you take all of that, think of like, what is it that you want to accomplish with, and that may help you to pick the right meditation. At bare minimum, you want to be consistent. So if consistency for you looks like picking one type of meditation, meaning breath focused, and doing that every day and trying that every day for a week, and then switching to a mantra based focused and doing that for a week, if that helps you to be consistent, then that's a great way to start. If, however, you find for consistency that you want to vary it up, then one day try breath focus, the next day a mantra base, the next day loving kindness, the next day body scan. Different ones depending on the day or maybe how you're feeling. Where you find these meditations, I really love the Insight Timer. You can create a free profile and you don't even have to create a profile with any information except for your email and a password. You can access a lot of free meditations. You can also get their premium. I do have their premium and I find it very helpful. I do love having the premium. Another app is the Calm app, CALM app. There's also Headspace and a variety. Now there's so many apps out there. I mean, there's more than 20 for sure. There's also a lot of meditations on YouTube. The Great Meditation is one, and the 5-minute meditations, I really like. They're the same company or the same group of ladies who seem to do the meditations. They're on YouTube. I really, really enjoy them, especially for my afternoon meditation. So when you're picking the meditation, the right meditation practice for you, is there really the right meditation practice for you? There is and there isn't. I think when we approach finding the perfect meditation practice, that's not a good way to approach it. We don't want to approach it. I want to find the perfect one. And that's same idea is that there's not a perfect way to do meditation. There are so many times when I sit down to meditate and I am thinking about so many other things and not focused on my breath, not focused on my guided imagery. And that's okay. I don't make it mean that I'm a terrible meditator, that it's just not for me. Meditation is for everyone. And by approaching your meditation practice with curiosity and just to be really inquisitive on this is working for me or oh, not so much. Don't really want to do this. Like for me, body scan doesn't really, it's not really helpful. Another meditation type of meditation, which I really enjoy is yoga nidra. You can do that. That's very restful as well. Doesn't have to be done at the end of the day, but it can be, again, very rejuvenating. There's so many, there's a lot of research to the benefits of yoga nidra, also with the restorative aspects similar to sleep, but you are practicing a meditation, yoga nidra. So I forgot to mention that. But overall, I just want to summarize by picking the right meditation practice for you, it will be different for everyone else, and your consistency will just result in the benefits of meditation coming sooner. So my recommendation when you're picking a meditation practice, do something that you can be consistent with, that you enjoy. How long should you do a meditation? At least 5 minutes. Better is 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. There are some meditations that are longer, 20 to 25 minutes. That can be challenging when most of us are busy. So I'd rather see my clients and patients do 5 to 10 minutes almost every day, really every day, working towards that. And be curious, try different meditations. I'd love for you to tag me on Instagram if you have tried a meditation, and tag me, let me know which one you've tried, because I'm always looking for new ones. I actually have one on meditation that I did release on my podcast, so you can take listen to that. But there are so many great, amazing meditations out there. Just get started. The day and time when you start doesn't matter. Start today, even if it's in the evening, do something relaxing meditation. And let me know. Again, tag me, Heather Colwich, at Instagram, and you can always send me an email, heathercolwichwellness@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.